How's it going, everyone? This is op.poker James here. We're back with another session review for Spin and Goes. This time we got a player who's just recently bought our new Spin and Go course. This was his 10th ever Spin and Go. He managed to hit a 25x multiplier. So I guess we're going to see what kind of mistakes someone who's very new to Spin and Goes is going to make. Let's jump in and see how it went. So this is Blood Masto's 10th ever spin. He managed to hit a 25x multiplier. Not bad at all. I think the odds of that happening is somewhere in the region of 1 in 1,000. So I'll take those odds. Very first hand, I think our hero here min raised from the button. This guy folded, this guy called, and he's been led out and he's flopped topped 2. So let's see what he does from here. Already, this is a spot where I probably would let them carry on betting for me. It is possible he has draws, but it's also very possible he's just completely bluffing and does some very odd, stupid bluffs. I mean, when you're playing these bigger Spin and Goes, you'll often find people can't handle the pressure in one of two ways. One of them is that they get really aggressive and just don't know how to deal with it. They just completely airball off. If you've watched one of my big Spin and Go videos on the YouTube channel, it was a $3,000 Spin and Go, 200 times the buy-in. You'll notice that one player just completely airballed into me. And that's happened. I've had 5 big Spin and Goes, which I've won all 5 of, luckily. But a lot of them were people just either being incredibly tight or just going crazy straight away and losing all the chips. So I would just let them do the work for me. I wouldn't raise back. This wouldn't be the nicest turn card, but still I wouldn't raise back. Jack 9 got there, spade draws got there. Doesn't matter. We're still going to get it in. Our opponent called our raise with ace 8. What is he doing? I guess the turn isn't as bad, but on the flop, why would you lead out and then, yeah, I don't know. See, in his shoes, I would have just called the flop. I presume he's going to bet the turn again, and I presume he's going to bet the river, and we just call it down. Anyway, we're heads up already with the chip lead, so hopefully this will be easy. If this is your 10th ever Spin and Go, I would highly recommend not using a HUD. I wouldn't use a HUD until you're very comfortable with the fundamentals, with the basics. So if there's something I would change here, I would just get rid of the HUD. Yeah. But let's go into this heads up. I don't mind raising or limping 6-7. I think they're both completely viable options. We've got an open-ended straight draw, so we're going to bet it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with checking behind as well. I don't mind too much on the flop, as long as you're not always betting and you're not always checking. That's going to be the right thing to do long term. However, when you're playing $1 Spin and Goes, it won't be an issue if you always bet or you always check. But if in the future you're planning on moving up in stakes, it's just going to be so much easier if you're able to kind of balance your plays in spots where the EV is very close both ways. Anyway, completely fine with what he does. Ace 5, I would just shove against the limp. Making it 3 times the blind with ace 5 is going to put you in lots of difficult spots. Whereas shoving, you're almost definitely going to be a plus EV play, especially on the lower stakes. People don't limp trap anywhere near often enough. So yeah, that's what I would have done. You're going to be in really tough spots now. Just like here. What do? Are you trying to get showdown? Are you trying to win the pot right now? If you're betting right now, are you betting for value? What is it that your plan is? I guess if I got myself in this position, I would probably be betting, and then on turns deciding whether my hand would turn into a bluff or not. Because you got the 5, there can be some 4x that comes out, some 2x that you can end up trying to get pairs off, so barrel off while you got a little bit extra equity. I guess that's what I'll do, but I wouldn't normally put myself in this position at all. So you go for the check, which I think is a little bit of the worst play. And obviously against the 1 big blind bet, you're going to call. So if the 7 rolled out, I would be barreling, trying to get a 6 or a 3 to fold. I don't think our opponent would have too many kings, because they would often raise pre-flop rather than limp. Anyway. We are leading out, and we get click raised back. Ouch. I don't mind the lead out, but getting clicked back is not ideal. I think it's fine to fold. If you're... Yeah. I think you could have a lot of reverse implied odds once he snap min raises. I don't think it's going to be a bluff that he has. So I think our only real life out is to hit that straight. So pocket tens, this is a hand that I don't mind making a raise to 3 times the big blind. You can play this pretty well post flop. Shoving, it's okay to shove, especially when we're this deep. I don't mind. It's okay. But I would, if I was in their shoes, I would be shoving the ace-5 and then raising small with the tens. So much easier to play than ace-5, and that's why you don't shove it. You can take it post-flop and build the pot and gain value from it. That being said, shoving is fine as long as you don't check it. I think it's all good. But if I was in his shoes, I would play it the opposite for both of those hands. 9-6, he limps. I'm okay with that. We get min raised back. We're never folding anything to a min raise when we are this stack size, because the pot odds we get are just too good. However, if we're like 10 big blinds or less, you definitely have to start folding, because your stack to pot ratios just get very small very fast, and it's very hard to have the defend appropriate ranges, so you do have to fold then. But at this stack depth, I wouldn't be folding anything. Whatever I limped, I'm calling to that min raise. It's not the end of the world that he did fold 9-6, but yeah. Ace-6, I would shove, but it isn't the most amazing spot to shove. I don't mind just checking. I think isolating to 3 big blinds again is going to put you in a tough position. So either checking or shoving, I'm fine with both. Yeah, I probably would shove on the $1 spins. I don't think people are limp trapping that much pre-flop, so I'd just take advantage to try and take that blind and our big blind. Anyway, you do... Okay, so on the flop, you decide to check. I would bet, but I think it's fine to check. I would bet because we got the spade, and if another spade rolls out on the turn, we can carry on betting. And also at the same time, there are a lot of draws that we are beating. So king 10, 9, 10, all that sort of stuff. So in a sense, we could end up being a value bet. But you do check fruit, I don't mind. Bet the turn quite large. I'm not sure what the point of that bet is. When you're betting, yeah, I'm really not sure, because at this point with that turn card, you're looking at trying to get to showdown with the ace-6. When you do bet, nothing better than you is going to fold, and everything worse than you is going to fold. So I don't like the bet at all. The 9 rolls out on the river. Do you want to continue bluffing? I would say no. King 10 got there. 9-10 might hero call. Queen 9, Jack 9 are all very possible for our opponent to have. This snap min raise on the river, I love it. Yeah, easy fold. Just got ace high. I don't mind limping or raising this one as well. See a flop of Jack 9-5. I would just c-bet this one, but checking this one. It's a spot where on the lower limits, I didn't play the $1 limits, but I did play the $5 limits. I saw a lot of folds on flops, so I would just bet anything on the flop, generally speaking. Yeah, that's generally how I'd play it. And then on the turn, that's a good turn for our range, I would carry on betting our 10. I don't mind checking back and betting though. It's very close in expected value. So as you notice a lot while I'm talking about this, you'll see that in flop decisions and pre-flop decisions, I'm okay with 2 different options nearly always. That's just because our range should have a bit of both in them in the long run. And the amount of chips you'll win in the long run for both plays is fine. It's more the turns and the rivers that you become more focused on what it is you want to do with that hand. So on the turn, it's now pretty obvious that you want to turn your hand into a bluff after being checked back and then checked again on the flop, on the turn, because you can have some king highs that were looking to go to showdown and now hit a pair. Anyway, we do get called, and I don't mind the give up. I think we will occasionally be looked up by a 9, even a 5. Lots of draws missed. I don't mind just giving up. I think we will get called quite light, so yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I mean, personally, that would probably be a nice hand for me to bluff. But I probably wouldn't be trying to bluff someone on $1 spins, so I won't go into too much detail. I think you did the right thing by giving up. 8-6 again, either raise or a limp, I don't mind. We get bet into. I think our opponent is just really being quite face up. I don't think he would have anything here, judging by his snap raises against our bets. I really don't think he's going to have a 10 here. He might have a deuce, but I don't think he has a 10. So how I would play this is I would float. So I'd call the bet on the flop. Just given how he's been playing so far, he seems to be fairly trappy and fairly trying to let you do the betting. So once he does bet out, I don't believe him. That doesn't mean I'm going to stack off with my 8-6. It just means that I'm going to let him bet on the flop, and then on the turn I'm going to raise him representing the 10. Because any turn apart from a deuce or a 10 is really bad for the deuce, I think they'll end up folding versus a raise on the turn. I think raising directly on the flop is kind of obvious. Our opponent so far has just shown us that he is willing to play back against such things, so I wouldn't raise directly on the flop. Ace king, you could make a small ISO, I guess, but for the most part I would suggest not doing that. I would suggest just shoving. I would do that with all the aces, so that just in case he does limp call quite light, so let's say for example king 10 suited, we've got him crushed. For once we got him crushed, so that would be pretty useful. We check it through. Okay, why are we checking it through? This is a clear spot where we want just value. So yeah, the check I don't really understand at all. Our opponent has been very, very cool, happy. He's been very passive. He hasn't been folding much. Once we've actually hit the king, we're just going for value. We've just got to go for value. So far, he hasn't shown any tendency to be folding wide. Just get that value going. Now on the turn, it's not great because there are lots of clubs draws, but the river is great. I would suggest, I wouldn't mind making that small bet that we saw earlier. I wouldn't mind that small bet that we saw earlier, that he snap clicked back last time. I don't think he's gonna expect you to have a king now. We have seen that he's willing to just make some really odd raises. I think he would raise, if you bet small, I think he would raise a 7. So you can end up stacking off with that. You can get all the 7s to stack off. You can also get value from an 8. You can also let some missed draws try and bluff you. So I think I would go for a small bet. You got the 33% pot here. I would go smaller than that. I would try and go like 2.5 big blinds, 3 big blinds. So basically a blocker bet, kind of saying you got ace high, and I think this guy probably would attack that. So yeah, the half pot bet is just pretty obviously value. I don't think he's gonna, it's also a spot where you're not giving him the option of bluffing you back, really. So once you put six big blinds in, it's very, very hard to get folds once someone's put that many chips in, and I don't think our opponent is going to go try and bluff you in that spot. Whereas if you bet 2.5 blinds, I think he could. So this time he snap folded. I think it was just a missed draw. But yeah, I would have bet the flop, bet turn, bet the river, and I think I would have got more value from that hand. Anyway, we did get a nice pot though, so back in the chip lead. Gonna raise the 4-3, I'm okay with that, especially as we've been limping quite a lot of the other trashier stuff. This board heavily hits our opponent when they do call from the big blind, so we're less likely to see our opponents having really strong Broadway type hands. We're also less likely to see our opponent have very bad low hands, so 3-2 off, 4-3 off, things like that. Way less likely to see them have that facing a min raise. So this kind of board is really, really good for our opponent. Therefore, if I am going to bet, I'm going to bet big, and I am generally going to try and have some equity, as in like overcards here. My 4-3, I think I'd rather check back and hope to hit some sort of straight flush draw on the turn that we can go with. I just don't think, especially against our opponent here, that he's ever going to fold, and we're just putting money in kind of dead, really. If there was a turn card to barrel with 4-3 that didn't improve our hand, I would say a king is one of them. He checks through to the river. I guess you can bet the river as well if you do check. I like it. I think I like the bet size as well. Maybe half pot would be nicer, because then you really are repping an ace. You don't want to be repping a flush. I don't think he'll ever believe you having a flush. So you kind of want to rep the ace. To get the fold though, nice. Very nice. I don't think 4-3 is a spot that you're going to end up winning that often though, once you bet the flop. So 7-5, you are deciding to isolate. I'm fine with whatever you're deciding to isolate as a bluff, as long as it's proportionate to the value hands. I'm fine with it. Yeah, so 7-5, using 7-5 as a bluff, I'm fine with. Get the fold, which is great. 5-6 we raise, get the fold, awesome. This is really The momentum's has shifted completely now, which is great. Got queen 8 now. We're going to check it. Okay. Check call. I do like the check call. Got a check call again on the turn, facing a one big blind bet. Often these one big blind bets are going to be draws, but at the same time, with our queen 8, we don't want to be re-raising just in case they do have a king or a better 8 or pocket 9s or pocket jacks, whatever. He's given us such amazing odds. I don't mind calling. I think it's close either way. I do think we're going to be up against a weak king quite a lot now that he's been like this, or a flush that's really trying to induce something crazy. Maybe he's even got full house, but we're getting such good odds. We need to be right. We've got to put in 2 chips to win a pot of 8, so we need to be right 1 in 5 times. I think we are right 1 in 5 times, so yeah, I don't mind the call. Jack 10, okay. Interesting that he just min bet the turn with the Jack 10. Something to look at. Something to be aware of. That he isn't betting huge when he's picked up really good value. Min raising queen 10, queen 10 suited. Not sure about that. Min raising the queen 10 suited. If you get shoved on by him, you probably want to fold given how he's been playing pre-flop. So I think I'd prefer to limp and then fold to a shove and call a non-all-in sizing. I think I'd prefer to limp this, yeah. All right, so you do bet small on the flop. I guess that's your strategy, to just bet small every flop. This is a flop you can bet, but larger. Maybe not with your 2-pair, because you really want him to stick around. So yeah, I don't mind the sizing. Just keep betting. Lots and lots of draws that you want to charge money for. I like the sizing. 10-4. Bet cool. Okay, I like that. Jack 5. Don't mind how you play pre-flop, but now we're facing a min bet. If you do raise, if you get shoved on, it's a nightmare spot. So I think I would prefer this very specific hand to be calling. Basically, if you raise, I would prefer to have something that's an easy fold to a re-raise or an easy call to a re-raise. So let's say you got king 9 or better. It's an easy raise and then an easy stack off against the shove. If you've got a diamond draw, I would like to have the nut diamond draw to easily call a shove. I would like to have, as a bluff, what would we want to bluff? I think hands like 9-10 with a diamond would be nice hands to bluff. 10-7 with a diamond, 9-7 with a diamond, stuff like that. I think that would be cool hands to bluff with. Anyway, I do like the fact that you're calling. Again, you just give him really good odds to try and hit your flush, so I like that. And now you completely miss. I would fold jack high, but probably need to go queen high plus. So if you had the queen high flush draw, probably need to call that. Just because the odds you're getting given are really, really strong. You also get a nice bit of information as well. What is he doing this with? Our ace high board. We got a backdoor flush draw, so I'm definitely not folding, especially as it's queen high. You've also got a backdoor straight draw, so if a 3 or a 2 comes, you have a gut shot as well. Yeah, I would call at least the flop, and then go from there. Jack 4, we are limping, okay. I think if you notice, our opponent is very passive pre-flop, which means I would play I think I'll play any 2 hands against my opponent. I'll do lots of limping with the worst hands. Just seeing a flop, knowing that I don't get isolated. It's a really nice spot. Facing a 1 big bet. But yeah, I think it's fine to see bet there. I think it's fine. Tough to continue for our opponent if he has nothing there. And he can often have nothing, so. Jack 8, okay. If you were to have a leading range, this would be a nice hand to lead with, I guess. It's also fine to check call, of course. I wouldn't check raise it, I don't think. Anyway, we do hit a straight on the turn. If I was you, I would play this as a check, mostly because our opponent has been, whenever they've been checking back, I think they've been very, very weak so far. I think they've been betting a lot for small sizes, and that generally means they're going to be betting wide, including a lot of wide value. So when they do check, I think they're very, very weak. So I'm going to check it over to them and check raise. If I was in your shoes. River's awful. I think our opponent's going to have a diamond loads and loads. So I don't mind folding. Given how he played it, I think he... yeah. I think he's clearly got a diamond. So I would have preferred a check raise there. I know our opponent's going to be very, very weak after that flop check back. Just because he's been betting everything very small size. Freeze, shove, I think that's the only option. We do it, good. Good stuff. Get the fold. King 9. I don't mind raising actually. If our opponent free bets, this is an easy fold now. They've been very, very passive pre-flop. I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent is the kind that just re-raises to 3 or 4 big blinds anyway. So you can easily call those. But if he does shove, easy fold. If we got a timeout, that would be amazing. What a time to have a sit out. Oh, damn, he's back. Ace 5, I'll just... So normally my default play would be to shove, but our opponent has been very, very passive. I think I would still shove if I was in your shoes. I think I would just shove. When you play as a min-raise, you're going to have to min-raise fold, given how passive they've been. This flop is, again, really bad for you. You don't want to be betting this flop too often. These boards are really connect with the kind of hands that call a min-raise. And they don't connect well with the kind of hands that you min-raise, generally speaking. So I would just try and get the showdown with ace high, knowing that you probably won't. Got a gut shot on the turn. I would just check it though. Managed to river the straight. Any 9 is also a straight. I think given how our opponent has been just click raising back, you can go for a bet. I think if he had a 9, he's probably just going to click it back and then you can call. Because you're getting given really good odds. I would bet small. I'd bet like 1.5 big blinds. Knowing that occasionally you might induce. Okay, 1 big blind, I like it. Nice, just get that extra big blind of value. Called us with ace king, what? Hang on. Hang on. So he had ace king suited and didn't free bet pre-flop. Okay, this means that this is very, very important to realize that our opponent's calling range can be very, very strong. He didn't even check raise the flop. Okay, I'm fine with it, having ace king. But yeah, clearly our opponent does not want to get it in pre-flop. That is all I can take from this, and that means that you can be quite aggressive pre-flop to him. If you have any spots where you can just, where it's okay to just shove, I would suggest shoving. I don't think he's going to be the kind of person that likes calling light. So I guess a hand like queen three could be something at this stack depth that could shove. Yeah, I wouldn't mind shoving there. I probably would shove after I've seen that ace king. At this point, we're doing some really fast play. I don't like it. We're kind of going to give away the strength of our hand if we do really fast plays. So let's go through this. Okay, so we flop top pair. It's a spot where if you are going to lead a hand for value, this would be a nice one to do it with. He does check back. As we said before, his check backs, I think, are very, very weak. So I don't mind checking again and check calling. I do mind how fast you check call. You are giving away that you've got either a weak queen, a 10, or a deuce. Very often, I think you're just giving away that you've got those. You're condensing your range, and that's never a good thing. It means your opponent can put a lot of pressure on you. Snap checking the river isn't great either, because if you have a 10, most of the time you want to think about how you're going to get value from that 10. I really don't like that. I don't mind block betting. You could bet one big blind with the queen three, and then you can block bet fold. It just stops an ace from re-raising you because you could have a 10. What else? Yeah, I think if you're checking, you probably want to call a bet of 3 big blinds or less. I wouldn't call a pot size bet. 1 big blind, easy. He had ace 2. I don't think we get much from it. He did check back a pair, which is interesting, but it was also bottom pair, so... (8-4) at this stack depth. I don't mind folding to the raise, especially given how he's been so non-aggressive pre-flop. So I really don't mind that. King 10 is a hand that I would shove, given the reasons we said before. Nice. Blinds are going up. This might be a spot. This might be the kind of time where you're going to get a lot of value from our opponent, given how they're playing pre-flop, how passive they are pre-flop. At this stack depth, it's time to start shoving lots. So given how passive they've been, this is going to be a great time for you. I like betting. Given the fact that we saw him play ace king in such an odd way, high card flops doesn't necessarily mean they're good for you. So you do have to be aware that your opponent can have a king, whereas a lot of other opponents wouldn't have a king. This turn card I like to bet again. You got a gut shot and you're never going to win at showdown. I think by the river you can get 7s and 8s to fold. I think this is a spot personally that I would go for all the way. I go all the way with it. Generally speaking, I think 2-pair type hands are often going to raise you if you do bet the turn. So if they do just call, they're often going to have pair plus draw that you can just get off by the river. So yeah, what I would have done is bet flop, bet turn, bet this river. I would just shove this river. Having the 4 is kind of nice because it means that it's less likely that they pick up a random 2 pair, 7-4, 8-4, 10-4. Do win with our Jack 4 there. Okay, so Ace Queen might have called the flop. Well, yeah, he called the flop. He might have called the turn, but again, like I said, he would have folded by the river. And if he doesn't, you get some weird odd value. So if he wants the hero, that's fine with you, I guess. Now he's really short. I wouldn't call his shoves given how incredibly passive he's been, but when he does limp, this is an easy shove with King 7. Easy peasy shove. I really don't like the check. I really don't like it. At 7 big blinds, this is a great spot. As we said, I don't think he likes getting it in pre-flop. So I think we're going to get tons and tons of folds. Yeah, I much prefer just shoving. On the turn, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to get to fold? What are we trying to get to call? King high has showdown value. This doesn't make any sense to me. What are you trying to get to fold? What are you trying to get to call? I don't understand. Everything better than you is gonna call, everything worse than you is gonna fold, apart from spade draws and club draws. Which you block both of, which is not good. Yeah, I don't understand the play at all. Check it over. At this point, you might want to consider making some hero calls every now and again. Would I make a hero call with my King 7? Probably. I would probably call King 7 here. Just given how his bet sizings have always been very small with strong hands. Given how with this sizing, I don't think he's saying he has a 6 or a straight, a King 10 straight. I don't see him having anything else. Maybe a hand like Ace Queen or Ace Jack, maybe. Yeah, I would look him up here. I think it's going to be a missed draw quite often. So I would call. 4-3 suited. I don't mind shoving against him. Because he's just clearly shown a way to. He doesn't want to get involved against all-ins. He's been very passive so far. So I don't mind the shove. I don't mind limping either. As long as you don't fold it. He's just letting us get C flops. So play any 2 hands. I like how you played the flop, checking it back. I don't mind betting or checking. And then on the turn, I do like the bet. Queen 3, I would shove. This is a hand I'd definitely shove, given how we've seen our opponent. Okay, good, nice. Beautiful. Jack 5, I would limp. And give up. Yeah, I like it. Nine-2. We've hit a 9 at this stack depth. It's going to be hard to fold it. Again, we're going to give away a lot of timing tells. We're giving away some serious timing tells right now. The fast check call, you're never going to have a strong hand, because you've got to think about how you're going to get value from these strong hands. You're going to be thinking, okay, how do I get value? You're not going to be snap check calling. You're condensing your range, so you're making it more obvious the kind of holdings you're going to have. Maybe you got a few weak queens, but for the most part you got a 9 or a 7 or an ace high. Our opponent could think we have ace high. Obviously we don't. We just shove it pre-flop, but that's what he could think we have. So you're obviously calling and checking and nice, good stuff. All right, he had 5-7. What do we get from that? What we get from it is that we definitely want to be shoving wide against his limps pre-flop, because he is limping wide. I mean, I don't think he's calling wide, so it's just like almost auto profit. And at the same time, we realize that he isn't going to turn his 7 into a bluff. So on the flop, he's betting, I guess, for value. On the turn, I have no idea what the bet is about. And then on the river, he doesn't turn it into a bluff, which is interesting. King 8, I like the shove. Get the fold. He's getting very shallow now. King 2, just put it all in. Up against King Jack. That's unfortunate, but you're like you're 4 big blinds deep. Having a king is like the dream, really. That's okay. We keep going. Ace 8. Yeah, you're going to want to shove or min raise against our opponent. He's not the kind of player that likes. It's not a trappy type hand against this player. You don't want to trap anything really. If you've got a really strong hand like jacks, queens, kings, all those kind of hands, I would min raise rather than anything else. Get the fold. If I had aces, I guess you can limp. 4-3 off. I don't mind click raising against him. Maybe even shoving is okay. I guess shoving might be a bit crazy, but it probably would be a good expected value move against our opponent. But I don't mind min raising. Looks very strong. This 4 bet is very thin, but I think it is good. We know our opponent can have ace highs and king highs. We know if we raised, it's an easy fold. So yeah, I like it. It's good. King 9, easy shove. Get the fold. Just pressuring him down to 0 chips is nice. I really don't like this bet. You never got a king here, and you know your opponent can have kings. He just limped king jack suited last time. I really don't like it. I don't think he's gonna fold much here. Yeah. And you get the fold. I don't think he's gonna fold much. I was kind of thinking that even if he didn't have something, that he would bet it back, click it back. I just don't think he's going to believe you there. 9-10 we shove, but you did get the fold, so that's cool. At this stack depth, you put it all in with anything. That's pocket jacks at fucking 2.5 big blinds deep. Ay. It's okay. He's on the ropes, man. He's on the ropes. I like it. I like the min raise. I really like it. Good stuff. You know he's going to call quite wide still. And at the same time, you know the trap is never going to happen. So I don't mind checking this back. You've hit it so hard, you're not scared of anything. Really, you're not scared of anything at all. He's been leading out some hands. I think he probably leads out quite a lot of his pairs. So I do like checking it back and letting him do the work later on. I mean, he's got less than pot size left, so he could just easily just end up shoving for you. Again, I would check it back, trying to get him to shove. I think it's less likely. If our opponent has a jack or a 5, they'll often do the betting for us at some point. Given how he's been playing with his, like, for example, his 7-5, he was putting bets in for God knows what reason. He does have the queen 9, nice. I think we would have got a stacks even if we slow played it, because he would have hit a 9 on the turn. I'm pretty sure he would have bet it. We would have called on the river. He might have checked, he might have bet, and then we bet, and then he calls. So we would have won it either way. Very nice though to start your 10th spin and go with a win. Got a lot to work on, not gonna lie. That was quite a lot different plays to what I would suggest. So yeah, you got a lot to work on, but it's the right thing to do to post these plays, post these videos, ask for some tips or improvements. Basically, the best place to do it is our Discord channel. If you haven't joined it already, there are links in the description below. We've got people putting in videos of play. There was a guy who plays the $50 spins recently, put a live play video in there for free to everyone to watch. So really, really good quality content over there. So come check it out. It's all free. But if you do want to pay for a course, we've got a low stakes spin and go course, which is currently priced at $49.99. Over on our website, there is probably a link down below as well for that course. It was made by myself, and it's got 17 pre-flop charts to go over how to play pre-flop in nearly all positions in spin and goes. And alongside it, we got 5 videos on playing post-flop, another video on how to use the charts, and another video on self-help, self-improvement. One of the things I do say in the self-improvement video is do things such as this. So I think that even though our hero here had a lot of mistakes, a lot of things to work on, he now knows all of the things that he's gonna need to work on, right? He's just been given some great value throughout this video on what to work on, and it didn't cost him much to do so. So I hope anyone who else is watching and is looking to move up or looking to improve does do proactive things like this. That's the best way to get things going fast. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. There will be more. If you guys want to send in a video yourselves, come over to the Discord channel and chat with myself, Nick, or Ava in the Discord, and we will say what dimensions and what needs to be played. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Much love. Peace.